And that's her prerogative. I'm not going to fight her. She is the umpire in the space, and I complied. But the point was made, Neville, in 2 sentences. In 2 sentences or less of the Jamaican language, it has stirred a conversation nationally about our identity, about class, about our culture that I couldn't have asked for.
Is that what you wanted to do?
That was it. It wasn't about disrespecting Parliament. It was about disrupting Parliament. It was intentional. It was to stir that conversation in us because we had gone into this comfort zone of just accepting Parliament. So when I came in as a millennial politician and I'm told to read a prayer that says, that prays to the King and to the public weal and to his children, I felt very uncomfortable with those things. So I have been contending with them personally as a black woman from rural Jamaica, still praying to the King. And then what happened recently with the mace, again, I was confronted. Is this the kind of politics I want to leave when I exit the space? I did not come in here to keep it the same way. I came in here to disrupt it for the better. And so in a sense, we're kind of juxtaposing the mace beside a mirror. I sought to put a mirror in Parliament, not for Jamaica to reflect on itself, but for Parliament. We are the legislators, for us to reflect on ourselves. Yep. Is this what we want?
The Speaker of the House said, you knew better. And she said it 2 times. She said, she knows better. You knew better.
I knew better than to not represent my culture, for the people of Jamaica to not hear their language, to hear themselves in Parliament. I don't think.
I was asked a question about Dr. Brown Burke's lifting the mace. Mm-hmm. And I said in response that if you don't have rules and order, there will be chaos. Yes. I accept that some of those rules probably shouldn't be there, but they are there. So why don't you follow the rules that are there, and then when the time comes, if possible, change them? But why the rules are there, why don't you follow them?
So when is the time? And when
Well, you should tell me that when the time is.
Exactly, which is why I raised that mirror for parliamentarians, for legislators, to look at themselves. Is this how you want to represent your parliament and your people in 2026? That was me disrupting it. That was me spurring the conversation to say, it's time for change. And clearly, Parliament wasn't ready for that conversation. But you know who's ready for it? The diaspora. Who's ready for it? Jamaica is ready for that conversation. And they're having the conversation. I get the controversy, but controversy is good. That is how culture evolves. I want Jamaicans, I want our children to be able to rigorously learn and speak the English language. But I want them to intelligently navigate the Jamaican language. I want them to own it, because language is confidence. I want our people, I want our children to confidently speak them patois in a parliament, out of parliament, in official, in formal spaces, in informal spaces. For Read Across Jamaica Day last week, I went to a couple schools in my constituency. I didn't bring an English book about Spider-Man, Superman. I brought Jamaica Labour Party by Louise Bennett. I brought Anansi Stories by Louise Bennett. And I was surprised a lot of the kids, they don't know who is Brother Tukuma. They don't know who is Big Boy. They don't know who is Anansi. We're losing it. And if we don't disrupt it, jolt society, then we're going to stay the same.
I would suspect, I don't know. But I've seen Parliament, and you're a part of the opposition. Mm-hmm. If a member of the government did something that's wrong in Parliament, I suspect the opposition will jump on board and say, hold on, you did something wrong.
Well, that's up for debate.
Hold on. The rules of Parliament says you must speak standard English. That's not up for debate. That's the Standing Order 6.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes. But we were in what is called a sectoral debate. Mm-hmm. And the rules of debate allow you to use literary devices. This was a disruptive communicative device where you use jargons, you use slangs, you use other languages. I was following the rules of English language itself, which gives you literary devices that you can use. I did not, however, challenge the Speaker's authority. She made her decision. She had an option. To do what she did, which was quite predictable, or she could have risen to the moment to say, for our culture, for a spokesperson on culture to come into our house and to confidently speak our language. I could allow 2 sentences because that's what she could have done as an enlightened leader. But
was your presentation written entirely in Patois?
Absolutely not. My first 2 sentences were written in Patois. Again, for the shock value, to get the conversations going so that we can evolve our culture.
Member of Parliament, are we not speaking about 2 different things? One is that there is a rule that shouldn't be there. That is one argument. The other one is that you did not follow a rule that is there. What about a youngster watching now and says, okay, so the member of parliament says, if I don't like the rule, I must just do it my way, and whether them like it or not, they must live with that.
Well,
is that a concern?
Well, to your first point, as which you asked about
changing the rule. Yeah.
I am very much intending to do what I can to help that to move forward. So I've already spoken to the persons from the opposition who are on the standing order committee of parliament. It is chaired by the Speaker of the House, and we are going to be raising at the next sitting of that committee for our language or first language to be allowed in parliament. It is chaired, as I said, by the Speaker and has majority government representatives on it. So if they are so enlightened, maybe we will see the laws changing. Secondly, about disruption. Disruption is not disrespect. A lot of people back in Sam Sharp Day and Paul Bogle Day would have said, how disrespectful of you to challenge the massa. How disrespectful of you to burn the plantations. That is disorderly. But sometimes, and I'm not at all likening myself to Sam Sharp or Paul Bogle. I'm talking about the moment when we have to decide, are we going to be like the frog boiling in the water and not realizing that we're disintegrating, or will we pop out of that hot water and decide that we're going to change, draw a line in the sand and change for the better, because our children demand that of us.
Yeah, you're just suggesting that you should be allowed to use Patois. You're not saying use only Patois in parliament.
Oh, absolutely not. As I said, rigorously teach our children to know English, to use it confidently, but also teach them the confidence of using their own language. That is our gift. That is the genius. That's a talent that has been given to us by our foreparents, and we shouldn't shy away from it.
What happens now? Next time you speak, what you going to do?
Boy, I don't want to pre up myself. I don't know, I'm a country girl from Garland, so Patois come out of my mouth naturally. I don't know I'm going to say it and then me get run out of the house. I go try, but I'm still going to use the systems, use the procedures in the house, be it bring a private member's motion if needs be to allow me to talk naturally, man. The truth is, a lot of the things that we regurgitate in parliament, some of us don't even understand it. We get these written things that we have to speak a certain way, and we're just like puppets speaking it when we have a beautiful language here that the world loves and we hate.
You did it because of your position as culture?
Spokesperson for culture and creative industries. And that was about my broader topic, which was culture is not decoration. It's not something you take out as an item on a program. It is something that has value, intrinsic value, and also external value that we can monetize, but also that we can feel proud of.
Yep. You answered the question already when I asked if the entire speech was in Patois, and you said no. Why did you not write the entire speech in Patois?
Because I absolutely expected this speaker to rule that out.
In other words, you knew...
And two lines were enough.
In other words, you knew what you were doing.
2 lines were enough.
In other words, you knew what you were doing.
The point was made with 2 lines. No need to beat a dead horse.
In other words, you knew what you were doing.
No need to beat a dead horse. Jamaica is talking about culture and Patois today. Miss Lou is proud, I'm pleased, and I would do it again.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
For explaining yourself.
Thank you so much.
God bless you. And thanks for your service for us.
Thank you.
Member of Parliament and Opposition spokesperson on Culture and Information,